On today's episode of Warehouse Safety Tips, we're going to be talking about hazardous material handling. So stay tuned. Welcome to Warehouse Safety Tips. If you're a seasoned vodcast viewer, this vodcast is going to be different from most that you watch. It's based around exactly what the name implies, warehouse safety tips. And since the people in this industry are busy, we know that time is money, so each episode will be as short and to the point as possible. And now, with all that out of the way, let's get to the vodcast. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about hazardous material handling. Now, hazardous materials can come in many shapes and forms. We're talking about gases, liquids, solids. They're going to be things that could possibly be corrosive, flammable, have contaminants. It's really going to vary from hazardous material to hazardous material. But the very first thing that you need to know is that you need to be trained and recognize all the different signs, labeling, containment, and all the things that we're going to talk about today from a very high level, because at the end of the day, the one thing that we want to make absolutely clear is that although these are going to be good tips to look for, the one thing that you want to make sure is that you follow your facilities specific guidelines, and also that you're following things like OSHA guidelines and regulations, just to make sure that you have all of your ducks in a row. But the thing that we want to talk about first is going to be making sure that you have protocols in place. Those protocols are going to include, but not be limited to, making sure that you identify and label hazardous materials correctly, that you are having the correct storage of those particular hazardous materials to make sure that they have a compatibility and can be put together, that you have the proper containment, that what you're storing these hazardous materials in is correct. The next thing is that you are handling the hazardous materials correctly and transporting those hazardous materials correctly, that you have the correct emergency response in place should something happen. You don't want to do this in the moment because there could be absolute chaos. So make sure that you go through and train on what could happen during a hazardous material situation, and exactly the different things that you think you should do, and do a little bit of preemptive strike training to where you know what's coming. And then, of course, we mentioned this at the beginning, make sure that so far as a compliance and training aspect, that you follow all of your facilities guidelines, guidelines from administration such as OSHA, and that you're just following every single guideline that needs to be followed to make sure that your facility and your staff are safe. So thank you for being part of another episode of Warehouse Safety Tips. We want you to have a great day, stay safe, and here is a word from one of our sponsors.
It's scientifically unexplainable. It's virtually indestructible. And it's taking over the entire planet. But in a really good way. It's Mighty Line floor tape, the most durable floor tape in the world. 7 times thicker than average floor tape. Beveled to endure pounding warehouse traffic. And backed with a super strong peel and stick adhesive, so you'll never have to worry about painting shop floors again. Mighty Line floor tape, the only durable stripe.